We'll see what happens, Joe. Good afternoon to everybody here at Barber Motorsports Park as we're counting down the minutes to the start of the second Cayman race of the weekend. As the cars are lined up on pit road. And the interesting storyline that we had yesterday is not going to be the interesting storyline today, but nonetheless, I think we're going to have more of an all-out fight for the 35 minutes plus one lap here at Barber Motorsports Park. As we take a look to our left from the broadcast booth, we see a field full of Caymans here on pit road getting ready to get set off. We're just moments away from cars being released off of pit road for 2 reconnaissance laps. And then, Joe, we go 35 minutes plus one lap of racing.
Exactly. And looking up at the top of it, the 77 and the 86 starting next to one another. Ian Porter in that orange and white Porsche, and Chloe Chambers in the blue and white. They faced off against one another as they get ready to take off on their warm-up laps here. But last time, Ian had to fight his way to the back, could not find his way around. This time, he's got an entire race to try and overtake her. Will he have the ability?
We got 1 minute left, or less than that, until the field is released onto the track. And it's going to be interesting because we saw how Ian came from the back from that issue that he had all the way to darn near the lead. But also, Joe, he had a full course yellow to contend with, and I think that that may not be so easy to get through, especially because, this time he doesn't have to worry about it. But also, another driver who really made his mark was Nick Schaefer in the 70. This is his first race in that car. Wasn't able to test it. First time he got behind the wheel on the track was at the track. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can keep up. He was really keeping pace with Chloe Chambers in the 77. I talked to both of those drivers. We'll talk more about that here in a little bit as the field sets underway.
Indeed. Now, if you are out there in the stands or just watching on our stream on Flow Racing or on YouTube, and you want to know how to tell the two classes that we have racing apart, we have the Pro-Ams, which are going to be the white number boards on the cars, and then you have the Masters, which are drivers that are age 50 or older that have the yellow number boards. So that is how to tell those two apart. They're all the same vehicle out there, the Porsche Cayman Club Sport, but it is different classes of licenses for the drivers, classifications of the drivers as they head down on this first lap. Anxious to go through the starting grid on this one because things were a bit mixed up last time, so I'm eager to see what's going to happen as Chloe Chambers, as we said, going to be starting on the pole with Ian Porter next to her there on the first row. Then we've got Nick Schaefer, as you mentioned, starting from third position. I think if it wasn't for Ian, he was in a good position to try and challenge Chloe. Conda going to be starting next to him there in fourth position. Then you've got Michael Clark starting P5 as Sean McCaig will be sixth position. Those are our front row for the Masters category there on row 3. Matt Joffe will start from seventh today, and Jeff Myjak will be P8. Then we get to row number 5 here, Jeremy, with Lonnie Unser starting in 9th overall, but she is in the Pro-Am with Bill Finnick in the Masters starting in 10th.
We'll take a look at row number 6. You've got Jason Golan and Chris Hutter. Chris was a little frustrated after yesterday, but nonetheless, I think he's going to do quite well. He was showing some pace. Roland Crines and Elaine Scalzo. Talk about somebody, Joe, who could have had a better race, and it was Elaine, but we'll see what he can do in race number 2 as the sun comes out in some parts of the racetrack. Dan Ammon and Tom Kopczynski make up row number 8. Ammon, he's got another race after this. We'll see how he contends in this race. Row number 9, Bill Pelichowski. If you're on the track, you can see the Orange Tang Porsche, and Rafa Martinez talked to him just before we were set to get going, and he was getting ready for the race. At row 10, Paige Morales, Kevin Maxim will be alongside each other.
Then we get to row number 11 for the final few cars. It's going to be Rob Trollinger in 21st, followed by Joseph Rizzo to the outside of him at the start. Thomas Kerr starts in 23rd. Woody Witchard will be in the 24th position. And then our last row on the field is going to see Tane Griffin flanked by Joseph Petkus. So 26 cars going to be taking part in today's race out there. That will be plenty of action for our drivers, but they've already had one under their
belt.
Their belt. Thank you very much.
I knew you were going to.
Yeah,
it's a long four-letter word, ladies and gentlemen.
Brain could not work right there, but one under their belt here, Jeremy. And what do they do from here? What could they have learned from that one?
Well, first of all, it's better that you're short-circuiting at the start and not after a restart, like some people have in this booth this weekend. But mostly, you got to learn what you can do with a changing racetrack. Now, we kind of saw a little bit of a changing racetrack earlier in the weekend, but this is the first time these drivers are out here with sun on the track. Most of the weekend they had cloudier conditions, not as warm conditions. Well, now we just got done with the NTT IndyCar Series, so that rubber's on the track. I think the first couple of laps are going to be slick with the Yokohama rubber trying to work with one another as we see the field working their way down the back part of the racetrack right now, as our pace car driver making his paces up and down the track right now. Jack Joyner, instructor here at the Porsche Track Experience, is our pace car driver this weekend. So a lot to be said, though, throughout the race, and I think we're going to see some great storylines. For those of you here at the track, or if you are watching on YouTube or Flow Racing, we thank you for joining us here at Barber Motorsports Park. Race number 2 just about ready to get set.
Indeed, they are doubled up and ready to go as the pace car is going to release them here out of turn number 16. Let's see if we can get a nice clean start for the beginning of this race down into turn 1, which has already seen plenty of drivers have issues over all the series that we've had here at Barber this weekend. This is a nice orderly start. I like what I'm seeing here. And up at the front, Chloe waiting for the call from the flag stand to go as she's getting close to the start zone. And there it is, right there. Green flag is out as they plunge towards turn 1, looking to try and position themselves through that blind left-hander. And so far, I'm not seeing anything from our viewpoint. It looks like it should be clean.
Well, Nick Schaefer got a nice jump on the inside there coming into turn number 1. So we'll see what can happen there as they come out of turn number 4. Anything can happen through that 1, 2, 3 complex. And Ian Porter holding off Schaefer. Look at that, side by side near the back as they're getting a little dicey heading into turn number 5, the heavy braking zone. Look at Paige Martinez going down the outside. A nice move there.
Yeah, Paige on the attack early. So was Schaefer. He knows that he's got to try and attack on Ian Porter early, and he is really going for it as they head towards Museum Corner as they disappear behind the trees. We'll see who comes out ahead on that one. A little bit of side-by-side farther back. I think that might be Rizzo in there.
Well, of course, Schaefer, of course, the only person that's really liking this is Chloe Chambers because now she can gap up just a little bit coming out of the back portion of the circuit. And looks like that Porter has held off from Schaefer so far. But Konda, she's trying to get her view into third place. But Schaefer looking to the inside off of turn number 10.
All right, they get ready to complete lap 1 here, and so far Chloe's made good use of that clear air in front of her. Ian Porter, who we thought maybe was going to be hassling her, instead having to go on the defensive as they come through the final few corners and back onto the main straight, past us at the start-finish line. Your top 3 right now are Chambers, Porter, and Schaefer. Clark still leads in the Masters with McCaig behind him by about half a second.
Oh, looks like Fennick, I believe it was. No, Crines, I'm sorry, trying to get to the inside of Pelichewski. That's for class and overall position battle. That's for 6th in class, 11th in the Masters class. As the field comes up off of turn number 4, Schaefer a little bit closer this time by. He's going to try and see what he can do. Nothing just yet, but he was side by side coming out of this corner. Schaefer really good through the 5-6 complex as they work their way through into the Museum Corner.
See a little bit of a battle at the back as we're going to get some contact, and a car off and into the wall. Was trying to make out who that is exactly as the 19 turns it around.
Yeah, that's Roland Crines who made the contact with the wall. He's back underway, but very slowly. We'll see what happens if he can keep the car at a pace. He now just gets it back onto the circuit. Joe, I was actually looking towards the museum corner. What did you see over there? Well, let's talk about this battle here, though, for second place before we get to that.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think there was a tiny bit of contact between those two cars, but this is a position, again, we haven't seen Ian Porter in. Now we've seen him fight through the field, but we haven't seen him on the defensive yet. He has usually been running away or on the attack. The fact that Nick Schaefer looks a little bit quicker is an interesting position for him.
Yeah, and this is going to be interesting to see because Schaefer's still a little wet behind the ears in sprint competition. He has run some WRL races, so a lot of endurance racing under his belt, but not necessarily anything about, less than several hours at a time. Of course, this is quick for sports car racing. You don't normally see in these, unless you're running club racing, races that are a half hour or shorter. But again, 35 minutes plus one lap, the prescribed distance that we have here. Schaefer, gets a little loose coming off of turn number 4. Loses some ground, but he's still on the attack, and Conda sitting back there and seeing what happens.
I'm glad you mentioned Caroline because I was kind of watching her as well. She's making sure if those two do fight, she is there to pick up the pieces. Now, she needs to get maybe a little bit closer to be a true threat as we check a little bit farther behind now. With a battle between some of our Masters cars. That's the number 15 of Finnick versus Majak for 4th in the Masters class.
Another race I'm watching is actually the battle for the lead in the Masters class. That's between the 17 of Clark and the 34 of McCaig. That is actually just behind Conda in the 84. So Schaefer trying to do all he can to keep up with Porter, but it's looking like Ian Porter once again showing that all the sim racing experience he has really given him a chance to learn how to defend and how to keep a driver behind you.
Somebody kicking up a little bit of dirt, losing a position there on the backstretch, trying to make out who those two were exactly as they'll swap positions down through 12 and 13.
As Chambers comes down to complete another lap. I did talk to her in the just during the IndyCar race. She seemed really calm. She's really excited about this, and she's looking forward also to running next weekend at Miami for the F1 Academy. And she's like, she told me, Jeddah really wasn't our good race. It wasn't our good track. This is a track that she was looking forward to. Miami's a track she was looking forward to, of course, now. 3 straight wins so far here at Barber Motorsports Park in Cayman. But Schaefer, look at that. Less than a car length around Charlotte's Web. As our race control radio is now a part of the broadcast, so you will get to hear the voice of race control when an incident happens.
Exactly, and watching them carry on here up over turn 6 down towards Museum Corner. Thankfully, don't have to worry about any falling mannequins at this stage as the 24 is now down pit lane.
Yeah, that's Rizzo. Yeah, Rizzo down pit lane. Not sure if that was a pass-through. Of course, we were able to hear the voice of race control, Morgan Healy, letting us know what that was. But that appears to be a pass-through, so that could be incident responsibility on the part of that incident over there in turn 6.
Could be. We'll have to check in and see if we can get some more on that a little bit later. But we are now down to 30 minutes left plus 1 lap in this race. I want to give a big shout out to all the fans here at Barber as well. It is so encouraging to see so many of you sticking around after IndyCar to watch what should be some incredible racing here for the Porsche Cayman GT4 cars. And witnessing the cars heading down into turn 1. So far, so good. Haven't had any full course yellows knocking on our nearby piece of wood. As now we get a flash across the screen for the orange and white of Porter being still hassled at every single turn by Nick Schaefer.
I think we just did the announcer's curse. We'll see what happens here in the next couple of laps. But also looking pretty racy is the 4 of Lonnie Unser. Ahead of her, she's got Bill Finnick, Jeff Myshak, and Matt Joffe. All of those are not for class position. Same goes to the Pelichowski and Morales battle for 11th overall. So you'll see near the middle of the pack these races, not necessarily for class position. Again, the best way to tell them, if you're here at the track, the yellow the yellow number boards are going to be for the Masters. The white number boards, those are going to be for the Pro-Ams, and those will actually be some on the wing end plates as well.
And we saw an aggressive move by Schaefer on Porter down into 13. It doesn't look like he managed to get past, but he was sticking his nose in. As on the screens now, we're going to hop on board with Bill Pelichewski, the number 62, fighting hard here. He is trying to see if he can get by Morales, who you mentioned a little bit earlier.
And if you are watching at the track, you too can watch these onboard cameras if you have a Flow Racing subscription, or go on to your YouTube app and find Porsche Motorsport North America, where both this race and the next race after this will be shown live. Still a great battle for the lead in the Masters class between the 17 of Clark in the black Cayman and the blue Cayman. That's the number 34, Sean McCaig. That's for 5th overall as well.
Interesting to note here as we take a look at the green and white car of Caroline Conda. She seems to be dropping off now, whereas before she was keeping herself in the hunt for one of those podium positions. She's surely going to want to try and get that twice this weekend if she can keep up with Nick and Ian.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting as we see Hutter trying to go around the inside of both Pelichewski and Morales, who turned 6. Look at that pass.
3 wide coming out of the hairpin at Charlotte's Web, and they're going to be able to get away with it this time. Now they'll go nose to tail down into the museum corner. Almost looked like somebody was taking a look over there. We'll see when they reappear outside of the set of corners down the back straightaway.
But you know what? Who's also making a great attempt at trying to make a best out of what happened is Roland Crines. He's now up to 23rd, trying to pass Woody Witchard for 22nd overall.
It looks like that might be actually Scalzo, I think, that is on the hunt there with Chris Hutter, I believe. That's another one with 2 different classes fighting for that position. That's going to be for 13th overall. Those were some of those in that pack that we were talking about, going 3 wide this last lap.
Well, if you remember back at Sebring, the second race, heading out of the back straight, you saw that wonderful move to the outside of Chris Hutter. I think I would not be surprised seeing him make these moves here in the second race as well. His driver coach is the only Tristan Vautier, as we see Morales, who had a great pass. Looks like she has a little bit of damage.
Yeah, so the 87 is getting some work done down on pit lane. They're getting tires out. Now, those of you that don't follow this series, they do not do tire stops. So something must have happened. A tire either got cut down, maybe she flat spotted one, or hit the barrier somewhere. Regardless, she's made it back to pit lane, and the crew is replacing at least one of the tires.
And a good battle, and McCaig trying to catch up to Clark. Coming out of Charlotte's Web, not able to make anything happen, but McCaig getting ever so closer as we see some battles all around the track. That looks
That's
like
the 33, I think.
33, trying to Tane Griffin trying to hold off Roland Crines. Again, Crines still trying to make up positions after that incident a couple of laps ago where he made contact with the wall over here in turn number 5.
So a few drivers having a good race, some not so good already in the early first 10 minutes of this event. I'm definitely impressed with Scalzo, not only because of how he came back after what was a poor race yesterday and wound up with a decent finish, but today he's absolutely making up for it as well. And we'll see if he can keep this up for the rest of today's event, because I think he is currently 7th in the class.
Field working their way again, and Schaefer really closing in on Ian Porter this time by. He's keeping them honest as the laps clock down. About 23 3/4 minutes left to go, plus 1 lap. But also, this battle for the Masters lead is heating up right now. McCaig, little bit of a rub on the inside of Joffe through turn number 5. Joffe gets better of it.
Ooh, that was close, though. Just about hit the corner of the car. Last thing you want is to tweak the suspension on yours or another car.
And I want to correct myself. It's Clark. So Clark and McCaig are your 2 battles. It's just, you got the 2 cars in the same team that are running black cars right now. But also, look at Crines. He's going deep to the inside. Who is that on his inside there? I believe that's Kopczynski.
All right, everyone. Pit official with a car 29. Car 29 is receiving a warning for his conduct in turn 5.
So that would be Majak in the 29 for his conduct. I wonder if that was for the spin that we saw in there. And getting another car turned around temporarily.
Turn 8.
So-
Turn 8. Car 19 is off. Drivers left at turn 8. Preparing to continue.
Okay, so car 19, that is Roland Crine. So Crine's
Car
losing.
19 is continuing. Turn 8 and turn 9 are clear.
So Roland Crine's lost those spots that he tried to gain. We just heard from race control on why Rizzo had his pass through. It was start violation, jumped and made passes. So always nice to have that connection to race control to know what's going on. And John Maskey and Elliot Forbes Robinson, in my opinion, two of the best of the business.
All right, everyone. Car 19, when he rejoined, he did so beautifully, keeping all gravel off of the racetrack. Thank you, car 19.
Giving some praise to 19 because that was definitely a discussion in the drivers' meeting. As off course, was that Clark?
That was Clark, and we have a new leader in the Masters. It's Sean McCaig for the time being.
No, that's Myjak going past Joffe. Sorry, that was the 9 getting overtaken there. So that was still for third place, though. So a podium position in the Masters, changing around.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have 2 black cars, 2 blue cars that are all close to each other. So pardon us a little bit. We're still running a little good. Of course, there is a Rafa car ahead of them. I think that's Morales that is there in the – let's see here.
Well, Jeremy is checking out that.
That's hard to see because the dots are so close to one another. Once we get back to our final corner camera, we'll get an update here shortly when the cars come down the straightaway, and that is one of the Rafa cars. So
I think that might be Paige, I think, that's getting overtaken.
Paige Morales, yeah. She is one lap down because of her incident. So, yeah, Myjak ahead of Joffe for third place. So we know what we're talking about here. We're just having a little bit of difficulty seeing a black car and a blue car all together as they come down. 20 minutes left to go.
For reference, for those wondering, Michael Clark is in the 17. He's actually about 3 seconds ahead of McCaig right now, so they're not directly battling. Lonnie Unser, though, is in a battle with one of the Masters cars as she tries to get a nose down to the inside. Can't quite get there. Instead, Paige Morales going to let them through, not wanting to be a hindrance.
And Chris Hutter also at the back of the pack. So Lonnie Unser looks like she's gotten around Fennick. She has her sights set on Joffe as well.
So Unser really needs to try and dispose of some of these Masters drivers because the next one up is Caroline Conda in fourth. But there are many seconds and many Masters drivers between her and those within her class right now. So her main goal is not to overtake them for overall position necessarily, just to not have them in her way as she tries to chase them.
And Nick Schaefer's taken second place away from Ian Porter. So something must have happened there because Ian Porter last time by about 2 seconds a lap slower than Schaefer. So the JTR Motorsports Engineering driver in his second race right now running second. Looking to see if he can run down Chloe Chambers, but she's 2.7 seconds ahead of the field.
She is managing this beautifully. I have to admit, I was a bit worried with the speed that we saw out of Ian that he would be quickly on top and try to make some overtakes and take that lead away. This is not the shape of this race that I thought we would see, but it is encouraging for the others because up until this weekend, or at least till the races of this weekend, Ian Porter looked like he was going to be the man to beat. Is once again watching Lonnie Unser just behind. Now Matt Joffe instead in front of her. Matt was in that fight with Pelichewski a little bit earlier as we go side by side for the Masters between the 26 and the 62.
Yeah, that's Scalzo who gets ahead of Pelichewski. That's for 12th place overall. Behind Pelichewski now, Dan Ammon, who again, he's going to be running the GT3 race. We'll see how well he attacks here. And I do want to make a correction myself again. Bill Fennick went around Matt Joffe for position. So Lonnie Unser holding steady in 10th place.
All right, we're getting close to the halfway mark of this event. 35 minutes plus 1 lap here at Barber Motorsports Park for the Porsche Sprint Challenge North America by Yokohama. And we've already seen plenty to keep our hands full out there. And as we watch them rise and crest over the hills and then plunge back down into the valleys, so far the drivers have been able to mainly keep it on the track, as tricky as this place is. Unser continuing to apply the pressure to that number 9 car. Down the main straight they fly.
Well, and you know, here's the thing. She's learned a lot. She's got a lot of great mentors because her last name's Unser. So no surprise that she is applying the pressure to the number 9 Matt Joffe. By the way, Nick Schaefer has closed that gap down to 2.7 seconds to Chloe Chambers. So we'll see what happens there as Unser looks to the inside of Joffe. But Joffe, too far away to make anything happen, though he opens the door just a little bit in turn number 5. Unser not far away enough to make an advantage, but she gets back on the gas right there. Going into turn 6, Joffe shuts the front door on her going into the museum corner.
I thought for sure she would have enough to try and make an attack, but she would have been on the wrong side coming down into museum. Maybe that was just a discretion is the better part of valor moment for her, because passing into that turn 7 is quite scary and dangerous.
Yeah, because you're going downhill, you're braking. Oh, by the way, you got to turn left, right through that stretch. As we're watching off the backside, we see that Joffe has opened up a bigger gap between he and Unser. So Unser kind of settling back, getting the tires just a little bit cooler, getting ready for another battle. But look at this battle on the screen if you're watching on our live stream. Ammon in the 69 Tiger painted Cayman, trying to catch up on Pelchowski in the Tang Cayman.
That's for 13th overall right now between those two cars. As we once again return our eyes over to Unser. She seems very confident coming through the final corner. She turned on her turn signal. I didn't even know these Club Sports had turn signals.
She used her flashes there to kind of distract Joffe. Common move in sports car racing, whether you're trying to lap somebody or really try and distract them from getting in their head to try and get around them. So Unser using a tactic known in most sports car series, but Joffe not taking any of it through turn number 5.
Just saw what looked like possibly a change of position down in Charlotte's Web, but I couldn't quite make out which cars they were. One of them definitely was a Masters in the red, white, and black machine. We'll try and track that down for you. Clark still leads that class over McCaig. It is now up to about 3.1 seconds. He's not hugely faster, just enough to keep him at arm's length.
And that's all you need at this point. You know, we got 15 minutes plus 1 lap to go as the field working their way around the circuit. Looking at that battle, though, between Joffe and Unser in the back part of the racetrack. As looks like we also have the Pelchowski battle. And, yeah, Ammon just falling off just a little bit. Again, this is going to be interesting because Ammon is the only driver in the field who will be running both the Cayman and the GT3 races.
And we need to stress what kind of a challenge that is, because not only does he have a limited time between sessions, he is going to be exhausted from that. He also has to adapt to 2 different kinds of cars. Between the Cup and the Club Sport GT4s, there is definitely a difference in power, a difference in handling. So he has to make sure that of course he remembers which car he is in, but when you're in the heat of the moment, you need to make sure that you know which marks you're supposed to be hitting.
Oh, look at this battle for position again for Unser and Joffe as they work their way into turn number 5. Unser closing in just a little bit. She's out of the brakes just a little bit later. We'll see if she can get back on the gas just a little bit sooner. She's usually pretty good at that, but nonetheless, I've got to say, when you see battles like that, you see the lead car opening up, but Unser keeping close to Joffe there as they go into turn number 7.
Yep, just glancing the curb between the two of them. And she definitely seems quite a bit stronger out of the Charlotte's Web hairpin, or even into it. Really, we had 2 cars once again side by side heading out of Charlotte's Web there, Jeremy.
That was the 94 of Rob Trollinger and the 74 of Tom Kerr.
So good battle there between those two. We continue to watch Ammon fight here as he follows down the back stretch and into 12 and 13, going a little wide out of the final turn.
Yeah, we'll get that down the front straightaway here, as that was the number 83. So I think that was Joe Petkus who was being put a lap down by, I'm not sure which car that was, but I want to get back to Tom Kerr. I actually talked to his driver coach, Mike Skeen. He just came back from VIR on Friday as he shook down a Dodge Challenger TA1 because the original driver couldn't get into it. Porsche said. Team called him up, said, "Hey, you want to do a test day?" He said, "Sure." Went down to VIR and took some laps in a TA1 Dodge Challenger.
That's some big shoes to fill
Yeah.
if you're stepping in for Boris Said. Meanwhile, back to Ammon here once more, down into the braking for Charlotte's Web. Gets a little bit of a nose in. It seems like that middle line through that hairpin is the place most drivers tend to want to be because they've fended off attacking cars many times now.
And that could be because it has a little bit better grip from the Indy cars. I'm looking at this Care battle once again, and we see that Care losing just a little bit of ground off of Trollinger on the end of the corner. So that could be it. We'll see what happens here in the closing minutes.
Interesting to note, I just saw that Schaefer and Porter traded fastest laps as they flashed by. They're still in second and third. That means that both of them closed on Chloe that last time by. The 77 still ahead, but only by 1.1 seconds. That's not a big gap.
I was just about ready to point that out. 1.1 second. We got one car slow. It's Petkus once again, slow off the final corner. So something's telling me that something is not right with that 83 in the final couple of corners because he's had problems the past couple of times.
I wonder if he's just trying his best to let lapping cars by because he might not be in a battle and doesn't want to be in anybody's way and just kind of pulling over to let them through. But yeah, those top three, this race is not over by any stretch. Unfortunately, Conda back by about 4 seconds off that battle between the podium drivers. She still could get back into it, but it's going to take some effort.
And we're going to watch these battles on the circuit right now. That is the 15 and the 24 of Fennec and Rizzo. That's not a same lap battle as we're watching the leaders down on the front straightaway off camera right now. Yeah, that battle, as you look at it with it just keeps closing in.
There's Care again.
Yeah, there's the Care and Trollinger battle side by side as Trollinger still getting the better of Care coming off of turn number 6.
Oh, so seems like Care being a real bugbear for his rival at this moment. This is what you signed up for, Jeremy.
Yeah. No. Hey, I give it and take it, so don't worry about it.
Meanwhile, we were watching as Chambers continues to have to deal with the lap traffic. And we kind of talked about that early on in the weekend, that is a factor that drivers need to take into account and need to be good at in this series at this track. Oh, that was a big wiggle there coming off the corner as Joffe is under attack from Unser, yet still, and she can't quite get side by side into turn 1.
Now, this is not a battle for class position, but I got to say this. Unser being in the tire tracks of Joffe has been nothing short of fantastic. This is a great learning experience for her because she's still young enough to where she gets a couple more years under her belt in a series like this, and she can compete. But look at Joffe now, knowing that he's under serious attack. He took a nice defensive line coming into turn number 5. Well, now they got a lap car that they both have to deal with, and Joffe and Unser are able to get around.
And there are no doubts about the guts that Lonnie Unser has, for sure. Like all Unsers, she's competed at Pikes Peak. And let me tell you, if you have not seen Pikes Peak and what it entails, I mean, you need some stones to climb to the peak up there.
Yeah, we know at least another driver here in this paddock who has been on Pikes Peak, so that's a fun story in and of itself. We'll talk about that in the GT3 race, but I got to hand it to Lonnie Unser just going toe-to-toe with Joffe. Again, that's not for necessarily class position. That's just for overall position as we work our way with just under 9 minutes left to go, plus one lap.
So it's starting to tick down now to the latter stages of this race. Got to give credit to Joffe for the way that he's been able to compete against Lonnie here and kind of hold her behind. The unfortunate thing for Matt, he looked so strong at the start of the season. And unfortunately today, this is actually him currently sitting in 5th in Masters. I think he wanted to at least be on the podium, if not fighting for the win. But Michael Clark's been kind of in another league this weekend.
Yeah, I don't know what Clark dug down to find something deep, but his driver coach, Andrew Davis, really getting a lot out of him this weekend. I heard that they were talking about doing in the first Enduro together at Austin. We'll see what happens. That's in another month at the Circuit of the Americas on Memorial Day weekend.
And that on our stream, we just saw that was Scalzo also lapping Rizzo once again, just kind of shuffling him backwards. I do like what I'm seeing out of some of the back markers, making sure that they don't interrupt others who are running their own race here today. And still we watch as down the back stretch goes Lonnie and Joffe. Behind them, others following. You can see how much dust is being kicked up these later stages of the weekend. So many have chewed up that outside of turn 10.
Oh, got one car going wide. It's a new second-place driver is in play. That's Ian Porter taking the battle away from Nick Schaefer. Porter was able to use a lap car down as a pick, but another battle I'm watching is actually between Tom Kerr in the 74 and Kevin Maxim in the 18. Kerr falling back into the clutches of Maxim. And Archangel Motorsports with Mike Johnson at the helm of the pit box, actually looking pretty good so far.
Interesting that there was that change for position there for second. Didn't catch exactly how he managed that.
Had to be the lap car pick.
Yeah.
Which that to me goes to show that Ian Porter has been studying racecraft left and right.
Now is showing, was that after the start finish?
That was after the start finish line coming off of turn number 5.
I was going to say scoring still showed Schaefer ahead. Now they go by us, and now it has changed around. Okay, Porter back in second, as you said. And also, they haven't lost time to Chloe Chambers. They're still about half a second back.
So also, that was Tay Griffin in the 33 that had that was the player in that battle. But we're also watching on the screen still the 9 and the 4, Joffe and Unser going nose to tail. And I think this is the point that Porter needed, because he was able to close up on Chambers coming out of turn 5 and down turn 6. And yeah, a lot of great battles on camera, but we're going to watch and see what this lead battle can do with about 5 minutes and a lap left to go.
Yeah, that battle in the mid-pack, Joffe, Unser, Hutter, Scalzo has been definitely one of our closer ones. Drivers really in a hard fight for position, albeit amongst a couple different classes there, with how tight it is for the lead. And there we go. Is that going to be finally? No, actually, I think, excuse me, that was a different car. That may have been Rafa Martinez being overtaken there.
Yeah, that was Rafa Martinez and Paige Morales, who obviously still left down, was once again used as part of a play for that position. But here comes the battle for the lead here momentarily, as we've been seeing this. We've seen a lot of battles develop here in the closing stages of this race.
It was my turn to get mixed up. I saw a black and a purple car fighting, and I thought that was Lonnie and Joffe.
I think we need to have a sit-down with Rafa and say, dude, you need to get some different colors for you and Paige, because at a distance it's a little tough.
Indeed, as they exit out of Charlotte's Web, nose to tail to one another, getting ready to set up for Museum Corner. Looks like Paige is going to be able to stay ahead, at least for the time being. So sort of an inter-team battle right there between them. And just going by us, I can tell you that Ian Porter is
a little wiggle out of Chambers.
Yeah,
so
closer.
Chambers with a little bit of a wiggle there coming on turn number 5.
He is just eking up to the rear bumper of that 77. It is deja vu all over again, because this is how the last race was, remember? That he had caught up to her in the late stages and was fighting hard to try and get by. So can he redeem himself and make the overtake this time, or has Chloe learned all his tricks?
Well, of course, this is the point in the race, too, where tires are starting to get used up, and so is the equipment. So something may have happened there where Chloe either went in too fast or just did not have enough grip, period, to get through Charlotte's Web. As we're seeing a couple of great battles still on the circuit. I'll tell you what, this Joffe-Unser battle, though, has been absolutely fantastic. It's been neat to see Lottie Unser just sit there and lay and wait to see what Joffe can do. This is a great lesson in racecraft for the young driver.
Yeah, in fact, she's kind of showing her nose there a little bit as we turn our cameras now back to the two Rafa cars still battling down there. Checking to see if that is actually for position, and I don't think it is, actually.
That may not be for position.
Yeah, I don't believe it is. Ooh, maybe a little bit of a switch back here for the 18, battling with the 94. And that is going to be Maxim and Trollinger. That is for position in the Masters, the Goldcrest Motorsports team in Archangel.
So the field working their way around. We see that Chambers able to put herself in further position as she has picked off Petkiss. So she's put Petkiss between her and Porter.
Turn 6, car 8 is fun. Car 8 is continuing. Turn 6 is clear.
All right, so that was, that was the 8 of Kopczynski. Kopczynski with a quick spin, and he is back underway. By the way, I want to thank him for our pre-race treat.
Yeah, provides some water for us, and as commentators, we definitely need that. So I always have my bottle with me. But unfortunately for him, he may have sweated it out a little bit there, just having a moment on the track. Thankfully, he'll be able to carry on.
I'll tell you what, Maxim looks like he's doing quite well trying to get around Trollinger. That's for... That is for 16th position. Yes, it is a class position. As we see now, the battle for second heats up as Porter runs his fastest lap of the race.
Turn 12, my mistake. Car 8 was far off. Car 8 is now continuing at turn 13.
That was the same car as before, I believe.
So Morgan Healy.
Car 8 has continued.
So Morgan
turn
Healy.
13 is clear.
Thanks, Morgan. Morgan Healy, the voice of race control, letting us know that more problems for car number 8. And there's another battle. I was just talking about Kevin Maxim there as he's trying to get around Trollinger for 16th.
Yeah, they're going to go wheel to wheel. Ooh, that was tight stuff coming down in a museum corner. Just enough space left between them that they don't get turned around. I also think that's going to be close to our leaders. Yeah. In fact, it is.
It's going to be very close to our leaders. We'll see them pop out into our view on the cameras and through the broadcast booth as well as they battle with each other for position. Chloe Chambers making easy work of Tom Kerr. And, of course, Nick Schaefer with a wheel or two off.
Now, I was trying to bring up earlier that Chloe, remember, she was down to, about 0.6 between them, her and Porter. The fact that it is back up to 2.8 means that either Ian is struggling in traffic a little bit here or he had some sort of little mistake.
Well, lap or two before, she was able to get around the 83 of Petkiss and use him as a pick to go through the museum corner.
So that worked out nicely for her.
2 laps to go as we are at 19 seconds left in this race.
All right, so next time by, we'll see that white flag out for 1 to go. Can Chloe Chambers sweep the weekend and take the win? Porter's still looking like he's going to come away the points leader since Chloe is not going to be in the full championship as the 24 went way wide down.
Sure.
It looks like that there might be a little bit of a delay there as we saw Maxim hold up Chambers coming through turn number 6. That gave Porter the advantage to close up Schaefer. He's several car lengths back because he was used as a pick for 2 other lap cars.
Oh boy, things are about to get very interesting. Traffic giveth and traffic taketh. Unfortunately, as much as it gave, eventually it had to take away for the 77.
So we'll see the battle heat up down the back stretch as we're watching Chambers still trying to make work of Maxim. Maxim's not making it easy on her. Both Chambers and Porter make it through, but Porter, he's much better in traffic right now as he's able to close up on Chambers.
Schaefer still hasn't made it by as well. He's not had a good time in this traffic. The gap still at about 3 or 4 car lengths between Chambers and Porter.
Porter looked to the inside going towards the pit-in corner as they come down the straightaway for the penultimate time. 1 lap to go. Ian Porter is the closest as he's ever been all weekend long to Chloe Chambers. She's led every lap, but Joe, can she defend from the points leader?
She did it yesterday, but she's got to do it again. Last time, though, Ian was a little farther back on the final lap after a mistake. What's it going to look like as they come over the crest of turn 4? He might be just a bit too far back again as the lapped car pulls out to the side to let them through. He's still going to try and chuck it down to the inside. He's not close enough, though.
But he's a little bit closer than he has been as they come off of turn number 6. He gets out of the gas just a little bit more. But Chambers opens up a 3-4 car length gap heading into the museum section. Can Ian Porter make another show of it? He came from last to second last time yesterday, but now he started second, had to battle with Schaefer, and now his eyes are set on that lead to try and make it 3 wins out of 4 so far in the season.
There are scant few opportunities to overtake after Charlotte's Web, so it is going to be difficult for Ian Porter as we see him go down the backstretch towards turn 12 and 13. And we'll see whether or not he can sneak to the inside through turn 16. That's probably going to be the last real opportunity for him. We have to wait until he emerges on the front straight to see who is in the lead between the pair of them. As we wait to see, there they are now. And it looks like despite him being right on top of her, it is not enough. Chloe Chambers with an amazing defense to win twice this weekend at Barber.
What a fantastic race for the finish, and in his second race this weekend, Nick Schaefer finishes in third on the podium. Caroline Cotta comes across the line to finish fourth, and keeping our eye on Michael Clark. He is your leader in the Masters class. Sean McCaig in the 34, sitting in second place.
And it seems like Michael was quite a distance back. We're waiting for him still out here, and he has not come by quite yet.
Well, there he comes down the straightaway as he greets the Kelly Moss crew, and your Masters winner is a 17 of Michael Clark, taking the sweep for the weekend.
McCaig still doing an excellent job on this one, just couldn't quite keep pace once again as the 34 will finish on the podium. And then Majak looks like he is going to round out those top 3.
What a fantastic weekend this has been for the Caymans. Jaffe holds off Unser, which she just ran her fastest lap of the race with a 31.6 to eke that out. This has been a great weekend for the Caymans. Clean racing.
Clean racing, but
Top
fierce
4 cars
racing.
for the Cayman class are as follows.
That is it. Everybody
First
has
place.
crossed the line for our last race of the weekend for the Cayman GT4s here at Barber Motorsports Park. And that will send us off to COTA next for the round after this one. Of course, for the USA West, we are heading off to Utah Motorsports Campus as well. So that should be some fun out there in the mountains, as it is beautiful country out there. But for now, down here in Alabama, we see Chloe Chambers bring that number 77 racing machine down to victory lane.
And of course, Joe, going to send you down to victory lane to do podium ceremonies. What a fantastic weekend for the 77 of Chloe Chambers as she goes off to win 4 out of 4 races in 2 years here at Barber Motorsports Park. And how about Ian Porter? Yesterday coming from the back to the front, and today nearly making a pass there on that final quarter to try and go for the win. He'll extend his points lead as Nick Schaefer, after a late race spin yesterday, he's able to capitalize and get on that podium. Michael Clark, the driver from Kelly Moss, with a fantastic weekend of his own with a weekend sweep. Sean McCaig, Jeff Myshak in the 29. Also your drivers there. Well, folks, those of you here on the Porsche Motorsport North America YouTube stream, we're going to head over to the GT3 stream here momentarily. For those of you on Flow Sports, Flow Racing, I should say, we'll be back here just a little bit. And at Barber Motorsports Park, we will be back with more great racing from GT3. And we've got the 992 and the 991 classes here coming up for another 35 minutes plus 1 lap of racing at Barber Motorsports Park.